I am gaming. I am gaming. I am gaming podcast.
Hey everybody, my name is Ivica. Thank you so much for being on the latest episode of I'm Gaming Podcast. This is a podcast about the video game industry, entrepreneurship, gaming nostalgia, Warhammer 40k games, and many more cool things I find to be in the same realm of business and creative ventures. Like always, first and foremost, a huge, enormous podcast thanks goes to my Patreon supporters who make this podcast possible. Please check out all of them in the description below and check out the list of my Patreon supporters at the end of the video. Without them, I wouldn't be able to create these episodes and continue to do it for years and years, and hopefully for years and years to come. Now, this episode is all about Warhammer 40k, Gladius, Relics of War. It's a strategy that came out in 2018. I got a chance to try it out. It's set, of course, in the Warhammer 40k universe, and it's amazing. So I have to say that I'm really impressed by it. I started playing it. I played it for probably a couple of hours, and it's awesome. It's a really excellent example of a 4X game done really well. Of course, as many of you already know, 4X games are basically grand strategies that focus on exploring, expanding, exploiting, and exterminating. That's the 4X thing. And of course, one of the most famous examples are games that were created in the 90s. For example, the Civilization series from Sid Meier, which is amazing. That's one of my favorite games of all time. And many other games like Master of Orion use the similar principle. In the previous years, it hasn't been that popular. In general, in my view, strategies have been somewhat of a slowdown in the same domain of global gaming, but it still shows that people can make amazing games, not that innovative in terms of creating something new and completely unheard of, never seen before, but actually going for the stable foundations and expanding on them using the same narrative universe, in this case of Warhammer 40k, which is all about the war. So the easiest way to explain Warhammer 40k Gladius Relics of War, a really long name and weirdly long name actually, is to perceive it as basically Civilization, the Civ series, but with a stronger focus on units that are there to fight and the whole process of fighting. So Civ in general is more about development. It has a big military aspect to it, of course, but especially later games like Civ 5 and so forth are more nuanced in terms of how you win and what you do to achieve ultimate success. In terms of Warhammer 40k Gladius Relics of War, again, really long name, it's all about fighting. And you have several factions that you can use, 2 human factions that you can play in the game. The other 2 are Necrons and Orcs. Each has a drastically different way how you balance and create and run your economy, let's call it that, and how you basically get your people, your military, to the field and fight over the same planet. Now, once you do that, once you set the economy and the basic elements to it, the game shifts basically into full focus on the warring element. So it's a turn-based strategy. It looks and feels very much like Civilization games, but there are loads of different elements, especially those differences between the factions themselves and how they're presented in the gameplay. So if you're a fan of strategies, especially 4X strategies, this is a huge recommendation. If you're a fan of Warhammer 40k, I know that you probably know about the game, you likely already played it, but if not, check it out. I love the Warhammer 40k universe. It's something that I got into not that long ago, a few years ago, but so far I played a bunch of games that really impressed me, and these include strategies which are basically very simple. They don't take any big risks or try to do something new completely, but really take on the things that work in a excellent, wholesome manner. That is a good example for anyone creating games, especially someone who wants to create strategies, how things should be done and how they can be set up, that you create a game that's really familiar, easy to get into if you're a strategy player, but one that still has that ability to hook you and draw you in, even if you're not a big fan of the lore, in this case Warhammer 40k and Gladius Relics of War is the setting where the game takes place, but even if you're not that interested in the same setting, you will still love the game if you're a strategy fan. So there you have it, Warhammer 40k Gladius Relics of War. It's presently free on Epic Games, on Epic Game Launcher and Epic Game Ecosystem, better said. So get it if you can for free and enjoy it, because if, you love strategies, you're going to love this game as well. That's it for me. That's it for this podcast episode. It's 171 episode of I'm Gaming Podcast. Thank you much for being here, and thank you to all my Patreon supporters who are funding this podcast and making sure I can continue creating new episodes. I appreciate very much each and every one of you. If someone else wants to do the same, there is a bunch of ways how you can support me. You can, of course, become my Patreon supporter, but you can also send me money directly. You can send me crypto, you can buy my books on Amazon, but easiest, simplest, fastest way to support me is to simply subscribe to my channel and be here for my new videos. That would be more than enough for anyone listening right now. That's it for me. Thanks again for watching. Have a great week, and I'll see you on podcast episode 172. Until then, bye bye.